Hello everyone and welcome back. Happy to have you here with our host Melissa Nour Khmilat, back on the week's highlights of news and stories.
Good morning, Miriam, and we start with the largest floating book fair that started on the 26th of March and that will end on the 7th of April.
That's right. The ancient cradle of civilization, Iraq, is hosting the largest floating book fair called Logos Hope, welcoming thousands of visitors each day. The floating book fair offers over 5,000 titles, providing many visitors with first ever opportunity to purchase quality literature. With its team from 60 different nationalities, the Logos Hope community is considered a genuine expression of international goodwill and understanding. The crew and staff are all salaried volunteers, non-salaried volunteers, including many serving in their professional capacities, such as seafarers, teachers, and cooks. It is also worth mentioning that the ship was built in the 70s and is part of a German charity.
Also, teams go from the ship into surrounding areas to visit hospitals, schools, orphanages, prisons, supply aid, and provide community care. In each port, the ship's crew and staff partner with community groups to share hope and to show love to people wherever their circumstance, I say, culture or background.
Oh, exactly. Logos Hope is scheduled to be, Melissa, in the UAE, then in Manama, Doha, Muscat, and Salah later this year.
And we move on to the second topic of this week. A study found that the population bomb might never go off.
Well, since 1968, when a highly contested alarmist book titled The Population Bomb was published, the relationship between population and its impact on Earth has been controversial, raising concerns. The book talked about the battle to feed all humanity. It also tackled the fact that hundreds of millions of people are at risk of starving or at risk of starvation, and how the world's death rate will increase. Well, the population bomb received furious denunciations and critiques, but has for sure contributed to raising awareness about many issues. Today, a study done by Club of Rome overturned the so-called population bomb and projects that on current trends, the world population will reach a high of 8.8 billion people before the middle of the century and then decline rapidly. The new study is optimistic about reducing extreme poverty and having food and energy security and gender equity, and is good news for the global environment. However, authors, they caution that failing birth rates alone will not solve environmental problems and could create new issues such as a shrinking workforce and greater stress on healthcare with an aging society or an aging population.
And moving to climate topics, EU countries approved a ban on sale of petrol diesel cars from 2035, whereas Italy's Giorgia Meloni criticized this approach. What can you tell us about this, Miriam?
Exactly. Now, the final approval in the European Union was given on this Tuesday, for a law that will bring an end to the sale of traditional vehicles or vehicles running on CO2 emitting fuels by 2035. The move is an attempt to curb the block CO2 emissions, which have a major impact on global warming. This means that no cars running on diesel or petrol will be sold or will be produced in the European Union, and also that all manufacturers will have to electrify their vehicles and add hybrid systems. Automotive giants like Porsche and Ferrari claimed the batteries for the electrification, of some of their models would be too heavy, that it wouldn't make sense to keep making them anymore. The opponents to electronic fuel or e-fuel have warned that synthetic fuel production will require so much electricity. Mm-hmm. And the Italian Prime Minister, like you mentioned just now, Giorgia Meloni, called this an overly ideological approach, warning that this policy will lead directly to deindustrialization in the European Union. Germany, Italy, Poland, and Bulgaria have also haven't been hiding their concerns for several weeks, and questions about the policy's efficiency are rising, especially that other economic blocs are not doing a similar thing are not having this approach.
That's in Asia mainly. Moving on to the United States, lawmakers, there are still pushing to ban TikTok amid security fears, while US tech companies have been involved in spying.
Exactly. More than a dozen governments in Europe, Canada, the US, and elsewhere in the world have banned the partly Chinese video app TikTok, partly owned Chinese video app TikTok on government-issued devices. So far, only India, Pakistan, and Afghanistan have instituted a nationwide ban, a complete ban of the app, but the United States is considering to do one as well. US lawmakers are set to restrict the app despite it being the most downloaded app in the United States, as Biden's government views it as a potential security threat. But top tech companies including Google, Meta, and Apple are putting pressure to limit how the US intelligence agencies collect and view texts, emails, and information about users. In the US, under Section 702, agencies can compel companies without a warrant to turn over communication and phone records, even those of American citizens. The Biden administration is pushing for both the power to ban TikTok and the renewal of Section 702, which we have just mentioned. Thus, some critics say that TikTok's collection of data is little different from other platforms. And a US ban on TikTok would do nothing to stem the rampant state of personal information and metadata that is collected by these social media companies.
And in the same line of thoughts, Miriam, talking about some key figures in artificial intelligence who want training of powerful artificial intelligence systems to be suspended completely amid fears that it would be a threat to humanity.
Exactly. Experts have warned an open letter warning of potential risks and say the race to develop artificial intelligence system is out of control. Twitter chief Elon Musk is among those who warned or who are worried about the training of artificial intelligence above a certain capacity to be halted. He's saying that it should be halted at least for the next 6 months. Apple co-founder Steve Wozniak and some researchers at DeepMind also signed. OpenAI, the company behind ChatGPT, recently released GPT-4. We have mentioned that in previous episodes, a state of the art technology which has impressed observers with its ability to do tasks such as answering questions about objects in images, which is really impressive, Melissa, right?
But Miriam, I think there is some of a, let's say, controversy in this topic. I mean, Elon Musk, we should know that Elon Musk was among the founders of OpenAI, but he voiced concerns about artificial intelligence in the World Government Summit in Dubai, and now he's saying that we should halt it at least for 6 months, as he said.
Exactly. Now, we know, as you just mentioned, that he is very fond of technology. The American entrepreneur Elon Musk is very fond of technology, has contributed to the development of technology, but now he is saying that we should no longer develop technology, artificial intelligence. He is raising fears about it. But this step perhaps leads us to the conclusion that technology could potentially be a curse.
I think he's afraid of something that he himself helped in creating. Yeah.
We actually don't really know because it's a bit confusing. In one part or in one side, he is creating and developing
artificial intelligence
technology, and in another, he's saying that we should halt development or
saying that
AI
it's a threat to humanity
because it's a risk to humanity. It's a bit confusing, but this might lead us to say that maybe technology isn't that good and it's a curse. And the letter also follows a recent report from the investment bank Goldman Sachs that while AI was likely to increase productivity, millions of jobs could become automated. I mean, there has already been fears that AI would steal jobs from people, from us journalists, from writers, from musicians.
Exactly.
And
now it's considered as a threat to humanity.
To humanity overall.
Elon Musk has given us the answer. Moving on to Hamza Youssef, who was sworn in as Scotland's new First Minister on Wednesday to become the first ever racial minority and Muslim to lead the country.
Exactly. The new First Minister takes over from Nicola Sturgeon, Scotland's first female leader and the country's longest-serving one yet. Yusuf's victory is a historic one. He is the youngest First Minister and first Muslim politician elected to be a national leader in a Western democracy, and also the first ever ethnic minority leader of a developed or of a devolved UK government.
And a lot of work definitely waits the new Scottish First Minister.
Exactly, a lot of work is waiting for him. The most immediate challenges facing Yusuf will be to unite his party, his own party, to reset relations with the UK government and to tackle the problems facing Scotland.
And moving on to the last topic for this morning, tourists will get the chance to walk in King Charles' coronation footsteps, and this is expected in next May, if I'm correct, Maria.
Exactly. The coronation of King Charles III will be on the next May, and visitors will have the chance, for the first time in UK history, to follow King Charles' coronation footsteps, getting access to an area sealed off to the public. Charles will be crowned on May the 6th at the church where coronations for English and British monarchs have been held for the past 1,000 years. And as part of special tours to be run in the weeks afterwards, visitors to the Abbey will be able to walk, having taken their shoes off, of course, on the cosmetic pavement near the high altar where the coronation chair will be placed for the service. And the mosaic flooring made the marble, stone, glass and metal was laid on the orders by King Henry III in 1908 and is unique in Britain. Let's take a listen.
So for me, as a stone conservator, the pavement as a unit is pretty important and pretty amazing. But the different elements that make up the pavement, so for example, the British stones that are in the pavement, the Purbeck marble that delineates the pavement, the patterns in the pavement, that's really unique because cosmati pavements in Italy, they use white marble. So nowhere else in the world do we have a pavement like this where you see the collaboration of Italian craftsmen and British masons as well. So it's incredible. Of course, you have the central stone, which is a calcite alabaster, chosen for its colour and for how beautiful it looks to be the centre of the pavement. And of course, that's where the coronation chair will sit on the day of the coronation.
That is it for this week morning show. We shall see you in next editions, right, Melissa?
Thank you, Mariam, for all this news. We shall see you next week, definitely. Thank you, dear viewers, for watching. Our show is still on, so stay with us.